Hi, welcome to another episode of Tommy's Tractors. This here's a 1949 John Deere M, and one of the attachments that you could have bought for this tractor was called a 51 power mower. So it's a sickle mower, but they called it a 51 power mower. That was the name for it. I don't know what the 51 means. I don't know what the numbers meant on any of the attachments that John Deere had at the time, but regardless, this is a rear mount one. There was a center mount one, and the MI tractor mostly had the center mount one because on the MI it had a fixed drawbar, so there was a big toolbox that went on the back. But regardless, this tractor here is the utility version of the M, one row tractor, and you could have gotten either this one or the center mount one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put this on and take it off. This drawbar on the back is an after added thing. We used to have a Grimm tedder. It was a ground drive tedder. It ran off belts to the wheels, so we would mow, and then you could ted with the mower on without taking the mower off again. Some of the older mowing machines, I know IH had one. I don't know that John Deere had one specifically for the M, but IH had an extension on the shaft here that came off the PTO, and then you could run a hay conditioner off the back. That was before they had the mower conditioner in one unit. They would sickle bar mow, and then they had a conditioning unit which basically just had these rollers in it that would squeeze some moisture out of the hay after it was cut to kind of speed up the drying process. So we're going to do this in reverse order. I'm going to show you how this would be put on, and then I'm going to take it off. You'll have both. I'm going to point out a couple of different parts here. This right here is obviously your pickup, your hydraulic lift for your mower. And so this is going to be stored in the down position. Sometimes you could store, like my IH mowers, I could store them in the upright position, and also my 3-point hitch mower, you could store it that way. But this one was designed to be stored with the bar down. So if you've got a garage or a shop or something, an ideal place to put it, that would be much better. A cement pad is also great, but I don't have any of those things. So I'm just going to put these boards underneath so it'll give it some kind of protection. First thing we're going to do with this is we're going to make sure that we've got our drawbar still latched together. So the way this would be attached is the first thing you would do, the lift links that would go on here, and they connect the drawbar to the hydraulic lift. So what you would do is you would take these off. So let's say we still had these hanging on, they were hooked to the drawbar would be in the raised position. We would, on the back axle here, on the final drive housing, on each side there's these little levers that are spring loaded, so you would pull out and turn it on both sides, and that would float drawbar. Remember, you'd still have your lift links connected here. So what you would do is you would lower the drawbar down so that you could back in to where this clamps right here. You can see where it clamps. Now this came from the factory with some different kind of attachment parts. It didn't have bolts. You can see it's got a bolt there and a bolt right here. That's not how it came from the factory. There were like some pins that went in there. This bolt right here, this is a hole that stays in the drawbar of the tractor, so when you put your drawbar back on or your plows, you'd put a pin through there. So this has a bolt, and this is a separate piece right here, this lift pulley, and this, like I said, this pulley hooks to your rock shaft here, and it comes down, and then the mechanism will lift the mower, and it doesn't fold it, it just lifts it up off the ground so that you can raise it around obstacles like a rock or something. So you'd back the tractor in. You'd have your drawbar spring pins on the drawbar are going to be released, so the drawbar can go up and down with your touch control unit, which is here. So you're going to put that down. Then you can back in. So these clamp pieces, one on each side, fit through the drawbar, and then you've got this bolt that you can put in here. Now once you've backed into it, you still got your lift links attached on the sides here to the drawbar. You're going to raise it up in position so that you can lock the axles, lock the drawbar onto the final drive again. Once that's done, then your mower's up. You can finish putting all these bolts in and tighten it up. And then you've got this pulley here that's it's a separate unit, so this kind of just sets on. I'm going to show you here when I take it off how this goes together. And it connects up here. And then of course your PTO shaft would go on last. It's important to remember that you don't want to be trying to lift the drawbar or put the drawbar down with your links on here and it pinned in place. You'll screw something up. So it's really important. You get the tractor in, clamp it in, bolt it, pick it up, latch the spring pins into the final drive, and then you're connected. This mower is not going to fold back. You might think it will, but you can see this, like again, this arch bar here that goes around. So one of the hardest parts is going to be to get that bolt lined up correctly. So you might have to do some shoving on it to get it in the right spot. Really the only way to get the knife in and out is with the bar down and it's still attached to the tractor or jacked up, because the sickle assembly has to go under here, and I'm leaving it on right now just temporarily because I'm going to try to sell this mower, I believe. I don't think I need it. I know once it's gone, so I'll do a little thinking about it, but it won't be a cheap thing to get rid of, I can tell you that. In fact, if I don't get what I think it's worth it can just sit right here. They're really hard to find, and even harder to find one that's working. So when you pick these up and put them down, it's very important you keep your hands out of here. You can be called lefty, or yeah, lefty, because what can happen is this knife can slide in here in these rock guards, and if your finger's in there, it's going to cut your finger right off. Because remember, this will cut saplings up to like an inch, so your fingers will also be cut. So we'll drop the bar down. This lift rod right here actually has a storage part on position on the tractor itself. And I'll show you where that would go if we were going to be mowing beside the road, or cutting a hay field and we didn't want to lose this. We'll put this right here for right now, out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do, now that I've got this down, is I'm going to put these lift links back on. And this does have live hydraulics on it, and it also, you can see that I can move this. So if I move the valve to the lower position, it's really easy to put this back on. You can still buy these brand new. It's something that typically gets lost. I had another M, and these things were gone, so I had to buy some new ones. And you could make one up, I guess, out of some chain and some U-bolts. When you take these off, you can store them right in the toolbox on the back of the tractor. These right here are little spring latch pins. I'm just gonna use what I've got in the toolbox here, and I'll put some better pins in when I get it back up to the garage. I didn't realize I didn't have enough bolts to make do with what I got for the moment. Alright, so that's all connected. I'm going to go ahead and take the power shaft off. It's just got like a spring pin, I guess you call it, that you would use for a trailer. Some of these have a button, some of them don't. This one doesn't. Sometimes you'll find these in this missing part of the power shaft. This one that's all here, obviously. Put this back in so it's here next time I need it. So you can see I've got my lift. This is all loose here. I can unhook that now. On this drawbar, there's a hole on each side that bolts go through. Looks like 1/2-inch bolts. They're not in here. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to have slop like this and then pull those spring pins out, because it probably won't come out because of the tension on it. But also, once you pull that out, your drawbar is going to free fall. So you have to make sure you've got just the right amount of tension on this. So you're going to start the tractor up and very carefully raise the touch control unit until you get it so that it's just taut. You don't want to have it trying to pull on those spring pins, otherwise you'll be fighting yourself again trying to get them out. So you want to have it just enough to have some tension on it. Next step is we want to take this pulley off. This is like a 5/8 bolt, and you're gonna, if you do put a bolt in here, you want to make sure you get a hardened 5/8 bolt, because if you just put a regular one in there and you end up hitting something and the breakaway doesn't work, you're gonna have a lot of trouble here. There's a notch in this, so once I loosen it out, this will float. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next part now, which is put just enough tension on the rock shaft so that I don't have slop in it. Now we'll try to get these spring pins out, and it just turns like that. And once they come out and sit on the edge, they are in position. So again, if you were putting this on, the reverse would be true. So when it's sitting like that, the spring pins are removed, the drawbar is free floating. Now I should be able to just, without even starting the tractor up, I can just lower the hydraulics, and there it goes. There's my mower sitting pretty on the ground. And the next thing we're going to do is take those 2 bolts out. I should be able to just start it up and drive away.